Hi there, welcome to Island Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Sagittarius energy. And we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because, Sagittarius is about learning lessons in life. And some people have learned some more lessons than some other people, and some people learned some different lessons than other people. We have our dualistic nature, our more immature nature, and some people are a lot more in their more immature nature, which can be pride, ego, self-centeredness, being more about themselves. Don't think being just and fair or loving is the answer. Can try to manipulate people to get them to do what they want to manipulate people, want to be lazy, don't want to put in work and effort, want reward without effort. And so people are on these different journeys in life to learn these lessons. And the people that harness a more shadowy Sagittarius energy than some other people are going to make different decisions in their life because they'll be more influenced by immaturity, lust, greed, ego than some people who have kind of put those ways, more immature ways of being behind them, and have grown and matured themselves to be more just and fair and balanced and treat other people the way they like to be treated, and in a more coming from a place of more truth and love. So it's just like you could feel that way towards some people. Those people in turn could have people in their life that are more immature or prideful or egotistical than they are, right? And so it's kind of relative, so to keep that in mind. Okay, I view this as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Six of Cups. And right above it is the Death card, and those are both Scorpio energy. And, we're either kind of the Six of Cups can also talk about repeating old patterns. We'll keep repeating a certain pattern until we learn the lesson we were meant to learn from that phase of life. It's like going through a phase of life. I'm at this emotional stage of life. This is how I view life. This is how I feel about myself. This is how I view myself. This is how I view the world. Just like when we're age 15, 18, 21, 25. We have a certain way of living life and viewing life. And we'll keep kind of being at that emotional maturity level until in the Death card, we kind of see the truth of how we're repeating a pattern. And, you have to get out of your ego to learn lessons in life. And sometimes that's the lesson people have to learn. But just to see, like, oh, this pattern keeps repeating in my life. And I don't want to keep repeating that pattern. And so I need to see the truth of it. And then, we move forward in life differently. And in the King of Pentacles above that, it can be that I am willing to invest time, energy, and effort to free myself from things that manipulate me because I don't want to keep repeating that same pattern. But everybody has free will to want to deal with the truth, be inspired to want to get to the truth, and some people don't. And so then they never get more balance within themselves. The sixes can talk about balance. And over here we have the Five of Pentacles. We can invest in a philosophy of life where I don't want to have to get more balance within myself. In order to get more balance within myself, I'd have to work through my fears, my insecurity, my pride, my ego, my lust, my greed, my past pain and heartbreak, have more hope and faith and belief in myself. And that all takes work and effort. And because of that reason, some people are like, and some people have no interest in being more balanced. If you're tipped out of balance, you're kind of more about yourself or these things of the world that you like to indulge in, maybe instead of love. Some people don't want to do love, and Scorpio energy can talk about having deep, meaningful relationships or having more emotionally shallow, superficial relationships. You're either operating more from your ego, defensive nature. I don't want to do more deep, meaningful relationships because I would have to be connected in with myself emotionally. And Scorpio's emotional water sign energy. I'd have to first get to know myself and get more balance within myself emotionally. I'd have to invest in like loving myself, and I'd have to work through those fears and insecurities or past pain and heartbreak to even be more emotionally balanced. And everybody can decide what they think is important and what they want to put work and effort into. And some people are like, yeah, no, I don't care to get to know myself more. I don't care to get more emotionally balanced. I don't care to maybe invest in myself to get to know myself and work through those issues to get more balance. I'm just going to do this. And people have the free will to do that. I have the free will if I want. And over here we have 3 pentacle cards, which can be in our more worldly nature, because the pentacles are earth sign energy, kind of representing these things of the world. I can make my life more about me and more about these things of the world. And the world, there's going to be other people who make their life more, who are more tipped in favor of the world, making their life about the world, about indulging in things or the ego or the image or the status of things. I don't think I really have to get more balance within myself. And over here we have the King of Swords, Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. I don't think I have to get more balance within myself. And over here we have the Ten of Wands, which is Sagittarius energy. That could take a lot of work and effort again to Sagittarius and high vibe, kind of wrapping your brain around this game of life. Not continuing to indulge your more immature, defensive, prideful, worldly nature. Well, in the Ten of Wands, that's like the maximum. I would maybe have to put a lot of work and effort to quit repeating certain patterns or behaviors or ways of viewing myself or viewing others. I'd really have to put a lot of work and effort to get more balance within myself. And some people kind of, the tens can talk about closing out a phase of life or a cycle of life. And that it's really hard, right? It's like to graduate, to go to the next phase of life. You have to keep putting in work and effort in the face of challenge. And we can all want reward without effort or want to feel better. And so in the Eight of Cups reverse, sometimes we don't keep offering ourselves that cup of love to keep loving and believing in ourselves and working through our fears and our insecurities and kind of taking those slow, steady steps forward. And we've all been there. How many times have we started something? And that's why, it can take years and decades to free ourselves from some patterns or behaviors or ways of thinking or ways of perceiving ourselves or the world around us, or not continuing to go about things in a way that is kind of repeating an old pattern, because it's really hard to keep loving and believing in ourselves in the face to come out on the other side. And then at the end of the story, we have the moon in reverse, and the moon can kind of talk about working through all these things that kind of subconsciously at a kind of beneath the surface that kind of manipulate us. And it can talk about our fears and our insecurities and how we're so caught up in some of these things of the world that we're sure are going to make us happy, but we keep, even though we could keep doing them, we find it overwhelming and it's not as emotionally fulfilling as we thought it would be, or we're not able to be more authentically ourselves or more independent or something, where, we've got to work through all those illusions of those things that manipulate us. So we've all been there with things, and we've all been people at different times where we know that how many times could a person go to bed at night and like, nope, starting tomorrow, that's it, I'm done. Even if it's like, say a person kind of belittle and berates himself in their own head. Like from now on, I'm going to be a loving, encouraging person in my own life. And then the next day, it all starts over again. It's really hard to change those ways of being that we've invested in. And partly because in the Five of Pentacles and kind of the Queen of Pentacles, it's kind of a way of living life. It's kind of something kind of embedded deeply within ourselves emotionally, that it's very hard to change things. Just like it's hard to change things in the world, it's very hard to change our philosophy of life. It does not change easily, and it can take a lot of time to do this work, to work through those things and kind of see through the illusion of them, and to keep maintaining balance within yourself and not indulge that anymore. But if you do, that's when people work through the illusion. They see through the illusion of things that they might have looked to other people, vices that they had, and they did the work to free themselves. I view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy, and shadowy Capricorn's the devil. That is like the illusion that, oh, you don't have to do this work and effort, you'll be fine. Go do this, you'll be happy. Even though we've probably already done that and it didn't make us happy. So it's like, when are we going to work through the illusion and keep persevering to, in the King of Swords of Libra energy, represented by the Scales of Justice, to maintain balance within ourselves, stand up for our truth, offset all of how in our more worldly nature we could want to go do these things or act these certain ways or be in certain types of friendships or relationships. But we know nothing new in the Death card is going to grow there. It's the same old thing, just a different person, a different job, a different friendship, a different relationship, or us repeating the same old patterns. It doesn't give birth to anything new, and that's what shadowy Scorpio and the shadowy Six of Cups talks about. We're just repeating the same pattern over again, just with someone else or somewhere else. And it's like, and it can feel like, if you're someone who's motivated to be in more just, fair, emotionally mature, deep, meaningful relationships, but you kind of end up finding yourself in workplaces, friendships, or relationships with people who are repeating an old pattern, well, are you going to keep staying invested in it, or are you not? And when kind of more your creative, inspired nature that wants you to get justice in the world, and kind of like your intuition, is telling you that your dream isn't going to come into reality here. Are you going to keep staying in illusion, or are you willing to deal with the truth and invest in your truth, stand up for your truth, speak your truth? And if some of the people in your life aren't willing to move forward with you and stop repeating some way of acting or believing or treating people or something to be more just and fair, then I'm not going to keep moving forward with you in an illusion that this is just or fair or loving or emotionally mature when it's not. So there could be some people who have already been through something like that, and we went through these cycles at many different stages. We went through it in elementary and junior high and high school. There's nothing new under the sun. It's just the same thing over again. and because as we get older, when we were younger, it could have been much more obvious that people were like bossy or controlling or full of themselves or immature, right? Well, as people get older, generally a lot of people in the world who are kind of more about themselves, more bossy, more controlling, more immature, more superficial, just get better at hiding it, and until we get to know them better or start more to listen to our intuition to guide us, and willing to get to know people, to really get to know what is their philosophy of life. Like, I don't want to invest in the illusion. I want to invest in someone who really is who they say they are. So, as we're going through life, emotionally, we're moving forward. We could be looking for other people who, the King and Queen of Pentacles, kind of looking for people who seem to kind of be on the same page as us. Male, female, friendship, neighborhood, community person, workplace, whatever. And so then as we go, it is to kind of get to know other people, to see who seems to be more balanced within themselves, more truthful, more just, more fair, who seems to be, maybe try to tempt you more in your worldly nature, which can just be, oh, are you looking for a new friend or something, or you just started at this job, whatever. The Five of Pentacles can be that, you had to leave something to move forward in this new way. And other people might hope that you feel left out in the cold, or maybe don't know your worth and value, and that they can kind of tempt you by willing in these things of the world to be in friendship or relationship with you. And they could like you to stay in that energy. If you kind of feel left out in the cold or don't know your worth and value, perfect. Let's be friends. Let's date. Let's get married. You stay in that energy. That's the kind of people some people like to be in friendship or relationship with. I don't want you to change, because the Death card can talk about transformation. I might present myself like I'm a loving and encouraging and supportive person, and that I want to be in a friendship or have you work here or marry you. But, oh, by the way, I don't want you to work through any of your issues from your past and free yourself from those things, because they've already decided not to do that within themselves. So, they might already have had other people we could meet, and other people who meet us are trying to figure out, are we one of the people who is unwilling to change, who is unwilling to grow and mature ourselves or be more just and fair? Or were we one of the people who left something because we had changed and we were inspired by truth and justice and fairness and love, right? But if you're someone moving forward in life, even if you're inspired by truth and love, there's always going to be other shadowy people in the world who want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you, and hope, because something else didn't work out, that because of your more worldly nature, and you want to be in relationship, and you want the justice you want, that hoping you're maybe kind of overwhelmed, that again, you'll get in a friendship or relationship or take a job somewhere where that person can be the next shadowy person in your life. And, we could have done that many different times in our life, and we didn't kind of realize that maybe until we quit making decisions more influenced from our worldly perspective of life. I want to be in a relationship. I want a job. I want justice. But maybe before, in the Eight of Cups and the Moon reverse, which is both Pisces energy, which is emotional water sign energy also, maybe we kind of rejected listening to our intuition. And in our Sagittarius energy, we were kind of fired up. We really kind of wanted these things that then, we could have made decisions more influenced by our want for some of these things of the world, instead of continuing to kind of maintain balance within ourselves, stand in our truth, listen to our intuition. But because we so wanted those things in the world, that could really influence our decision. And those things could be influencing some people that you might know in your life right now. And you did work through some things that you've moved on from. I have no interest in repeating certain ways of living life or viewing life or conducting myself in the world or certain types of relationship patterns or dynamics. And some of you have come out on the other side, uh, kind of seeing through the illusion, seeing how these want for these things of the world kind of really impacted some of the choices that you made in your life when you were at different ages of life. And knowing that some people could keep really being more influenced by those things all their life, regardless of if they're younger than you, your age, or older than you. Some people will never see through the illusion, and some people don't even view it as an illusion. Some people are very much inspired in their Sagittarius energy of self by the world, and that is their truth. And they want to be in relationship with other people who are really caught up in wanting to be in relationship, to be in friendships, to be in jobs. For some, just to be in friendships, be in jobs, be in relationship, because they could be really overwhelmed. And so then they're looking for other people who might be really overwhelmed, or because they might not be very balanced within themselves and maybe really have a lack mentality. So I want to get in a relationship or a friendship, which, yes, being in friendship with people and relationship with other people can help you feel more balanced. But do we need to get in a more involved, like, relationship with them, when we're not ready, and maybe just have people that we have as friendship and acquaintances as we do this work within ourselves to get more balance within ourselves. But because some people could feel so left out in the cold or not feel abundant within themselves, some people just really want to be in a relationship to enjoy the perks of being in a relationship, if it's money, status, or sex, and to make them feel better. And so then they could be looking for other people that are in that same energy. And sometimes when we get in relationships with people for those reasons, you know, we can have the best hope and intentions and we can kind of move forward, but it's kind of sometimes it can be the underlying intention of why we got in a relationship, and we might have still hope and faith and belief that everything will work out and everything will move forward. But maybe the other people never, it's like, oh, that wasn't the intention of why I went in it. And it's kind of like if that's not the intention of some people when they get in it, again, that can be like trying to change somebody's philosophy that they got into something with this certain way of viewing it and investing in it, and then it can be really hard to change the viewpoint. But if you get in a relationship, possibly more for some looking to something else more than working together with people in a just and fair manner to see if we're on the same page or if we're not, and willing to be independent enough that if people aren't working together with you in a more just and fair, balanced way, will I feel sad? Will I kind of feel overwhelmed that I maybe got to move on? Yeah, but I am willing to stand up for my truth. I am not willing to stay in a relationship hiding the fact that I could think some people are being bossy or controlling or superficial or shallow or immature or whatever, just because I don't want to become independent of it because of why I want to be in it, how these reasons of the world of things that I want those things. And this, is kind of the price I have to pay to keep having this in my life, whatever it is, right? And some people, have went enough through those kind of situations in their life. They're willing to get to know people. Could they feel a little left out in the cold? Could they feel a little overwhelmed? Yeah, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my truth. If we're going to work together, I can, if I got to work together with you, say in a workplace, I can work together with people even though I feel like, oh my goodness, this person is immature, or this person is stubborn, or this person is whatever, difficult, or tries to get out of the work and try to make everybody else do the work. You know, I have no choice but to have to work with some of those people. But I can choose to have to invest as little of time and effort with them as possible, stay in my truth, treat them in the way I like to be treated, hope that that motivates and inspires them to work together in a more just and fair and balanced way. But if it doesn't, it's kind of like, thank you for showing me the truth of who you are. And yeah, I really don't have an interest in working with you any more than I have to. And I'm going to focus my time and attention and invest more of my time, energy, and effort into people who I think do work together with me in a more just and fair way. And so, same way in our communities, in different functions and that we could belong to, because the King and Queen of Pentacles can represent a lot of things. It can represent in a family. We could like different people and more people than other people in our family. And so then from that concept of a family or a group, it goes out to a community and out to a workplace. And we have all these different communities that we invest time, energy, and effort into. High vibe people are offering truth, and in high vibe, the pentacles like truth and love in the 3D world. I am offering people to work together with people in a just and fair and like loving and encouraging way. Do you want to move forward with me in that way? And some people can be willing to work together with people, but you might realize with some of those people, it's just like you can meet people and it's like, just like some people you have more of some type of connection with them to become more of a best friend with or to be interested in dating. Well, you know that some of the people in your life, you get along with them just fine, but that is, we're working on some common thing, or we're neighbors or we go to the same social activity thing, but it's never going to become a more deep, meaningful relationship. And everybody could know that. And part of it could be because of these different things about the world, how I view life, how you view life. If I'm in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, things I like to go invest my time, energy, and effort into, things you like to invest your time, energy, and effort into. With some people we know it's not going to be a more deep, meaningful relationship. But then there could be other people, and we could be trying to figure out these cards that aren't showing themselves, just like we are trying to maybe figure out how other people harness this energy. Do they harness it in a more worldly way or a more shadowy way? And until I feel like I get clear about the truth, getting to know people, and the Five of Pentacles can be moving forward with people in some shape or form. They're my neighbor. I work with them, whatever. Until I feel like I am clear about the truth, it is kind of, they stay in the social acquaintance friend zone, right? This won't becoming a more deep, meaningful relationship. And for some people, if the King and Queen of Pentacles is also the married through the deck, if one person is married and one person isn't married, the other person, whichever one or both, could be like, yeah, no, this isn't ever going to become anything more than what it is. Could I view them as a just and fair person? Could I view them? But if people were in another relationship or married, nothing more is going to happen in that relationship for some people, unless they were to get out of that relationship. So There's some people in the world we can work with. We know that some of those things aren't going any further. We're not going to become better friends with them or start dating them, or they're already in a relationship. Or I guess for some people, someone could be more of maybe in a position of authority over someone else. And so, maybe that causes a problem. But for the people that people already know that this isn't going anywhere, bummer, you know. But if they're friends and acquaintances, we can keep moving forward with them, maintaining balance in the relationship and the friendship. We're just not in denial of the truth that this isn't going to go anywhere else, right? But then again, there can be other people that we meet and we're still like, well, I don't know, maybe that person could become my best friend, but I don't want to get more emotionally tangled up in them until I get to know them better to kind of find out more what drives and motivates them. So, what are these cards? The Seven of Pentacles and the Four of Cups. So, I view the Queen of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Seven of Pentacles all as Taurus energy, which again can talk about our philosophy of life and kind of what our truth is. Why do we invest in people? Do we invest in people where it is more motivated and inspired by these things of the world, and that seems to make logical, practical sense, and that would be good for my ego and my image, but some people really don't want to do love. And if it's a romantic relationship, then it would be a more kind of a more superficial and shallow relationship, and that in shadowy Sagittarius, male or female, it's just people who, you could feel like they use their emotions and their sexuality and their looks and their charm and their words and their money and their status and their social clout, and they kind of use all those things in a more manipulative way or superficial way. I want these things of the world. These things of the world, or to be in a certain friendship, be in a relationship is the most important thing, or to have a certain status or image in the world is the most important thing. And as wanting to be in the relationship for more of these reasons that aren't in the Four of Cups, really motivated and inspired by love. And so it can be people who's like, well, I don't know why you have a problem with it. This seems just and fair. I like you, you like me. This would look like, we're moving forward in something. We want to be in friendship. We want to be in a relationship. We get along well enough. We look like we got justice in the world. I don't get why you have a problem with it. And for a long time, people didn't have a problem with it because they weren't kind of seeing through the illusion. But as they keep moving forward and one person is more invested to emotionally invest in a relationship, being free from their more emotionally defensive, egoic nature to really do love, but the other person hasn't done that, doesn't want to do that, well, then you have one person who's operating from their more, hiding behind their more defensive, egoic nature, and one person who's being more authentic, inspired by truth and love, wanting to move forward in truth and love. And the other person might want to come with, but I'm not willing to do a more deep, meaningful relationship. You would have to let me move forward with you, letting me live more from my mind than my heart. Well, then it's like it becomes clear over time that though you could like people and wish it could work out, the high vibe people feel like they're missing an opportunity in love. I'm not in a relationship with someone who is willing to be in a relationship, letting their more hopeful, believing, authentic nature come out to play to do love. So you keep hiding behind your more defensive, egoic nature, or just don't get it, haven't been illuminated to the truth yet, and still just think maybe, oops, got a call on my phone there, that sex is love, isn't it? Well, if they think sex is love, or they think that these things of the world and for being in a relationship for these reasons is the most important thing, as they move forward with people who are more inspired by love, they could start to feel more and more overwhelmed, because if they could even start feeling like they want to let their more authentic, loving nature out to play, that means they'd have to invest in love, and that could have been something that they were previously not planning on doing. And then they could seriously think, and some did, decide, this kind of is a threat to my belief system and how I view life. And I also view the King of Swords as a person's self-protective, defensive nature. That even though they could like to move forward with certain people, if you're more afraid of being hurt, don't trust people. So that can be where people are like, nope, I'll be in a relationship. I'm just not really willing to do love. I get hurt doing love. So that is them at some point deciding, I'm going to live for my more self-protective, defensive nature. I let go. The Pisces energy can talk about our dreams. It's like, nope, I don't believe in that dream. I think love is an illusion. I'm just going to indulge myself in relationships. I think that'll be fine. I'm not going to do love. And so if they get in relationships with people where it is kind of challenging their belief system, they could start to feel really overwhelmed, because it is kind of challenging them to kind of maybe deal with some of these ways of perceiving themselves and perceiving others and perceiving relationship, and start to deal with some things that could be buried beneath the surface. And as those things kind of bubble up to deal with, they could feel more and more overwhelmed. And if they don't want to deal with those issues, that's when they could decide, like, that's it. And they could, the masculine cards can represent that people could then start operating more from their ego defensive nature and try to control people in a relationship, whether they're male or female. I don't like where this is going. I am not going to do a more deep, meaningful relationship. So I am inspired to do this and repeat this pattern. And if you are not willing to repeat this pattern and like do it the way we were doing it, then you can leave, because I'm not doing that. And that's when some relationships ended. And for some of and other people could be going through that right now. And when people were going through that, when people are going through it, loving people put a lot of work and effort to try to make a relationship work, and they can put a lot of work and effort to try to keep trying to maintain balance in the relationship, to not want to end it, to keep it moving forward. But if they're taking action, so we can all move forward in a certain way and it all seems to be going fine. But then as one person wants to kind of keep it moving forward this way, and the other person's like, in the death card, like stopping, it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's kind of out of my comfort zone. And again, the 10s are about closing out a cycle. And if we were to close out, say, a cycle of the 6 of Cups, maybe the next stage of it would be the 7 of Cups. And the 7 of Cups, I view the 7s as kind of the tipping point. Over here we have a 7. And it has to do with love, because the 4 of Cups is Cancer energy, about love of self and love of others. And the sevens are the tipping point that I'm either a little bit more tilted in favor of hope and faith and belief and love, or I'm a little more tipped in favor of being more about myself or the world and repeating an old pattern. And that's when, one person is trying to move it forward, the other person's like kind of resisting, and that's when we're kind of going in different directions. And that can be kind of where something that people both could have felt to a degree was emotionally fulfilling and kind of was a dream. But in a way, it could have been, because at all these different phases of life that we're at, where we're looking to meet people that are kind of on the same page as us, we can get in relationship or friendship with people that we do have something in common, and we could like each other and be attracted to each other, or similar backgrounds, life experience, whatever, that we could get in relationship with those people. And with some of those people, it does kind of move forward, and we go through this phase of life where we are kind of putting in work and effort to maintain, take it out of one dynamic, like with people who we're just friends with, to bring more justice to the situation. And we both could feel like we are people that we can get that justice with. And during the course of that relationship, though, we can all kind of be loving and nurturing and encouraging and supportive people to each other. And in some ways, we could all change and help each other kind of grow and mature in different ways. It's just that eventually we can get to the point in the relationship, so we could repeat this cycle many times. Like, well, I kind of want to move forward this way, and are you willing to work through some of your fears and your insecurities, work through it? And we work through it, and we go to the next phase. And then, maybe the next person kind of like, well, I would like these things kind of different. And are you willing to do that? And then we go through that phase, So that's why you can be in friendships or relationships with people for 5 or 10 or 20 years. And you go through these phases, but eventually we could get to a point in the relationship where the fives can talk about change, that there was different things along the way that we all could have had to be willing to change a little bit, and maybe some habits or patterns or whatever, or ways of viewing life that we had to work through, and we were able to work through those things. And with some people in our life, we're going to keep doing that, right? But at any time throughout our experience of life, there's going to come points and times where some relationships don't keep moving forward. And some people could be going through that right now. And if people have felt like, we got to some phase of the relationship where the one person's like, no, I want to keep doing it this way, and the other person's like, I want to keep moving forward this way, and they can't come to that compromise, they go through that phase where they could be putting in a lot of work and effort to try to make it work, and other people have already done that, and then we can't stay in denial of the truth anymore. Our truth is different. And, if I am inspired to be in a more deep, meaningful, inspired by truth and love relationship, and some other people would be happy to keep staying in a relationship or a friendship, but kind of more about them or for these reasons of the world, and it's never going to be more equal give and take or just and fair or even inspired more authentically by love. Some people are like, I'm done and I'm moving forward. Some people already did that, and now they are moving forward, and they know there's some people in their life that they're not interested in investing in anymore emotionally, because they've already worked through this process with them, and the opportunity was there in people's free will to act with character and integrity. That's high vibe Taurus, in truth and love, to work through some of these issues that kind of manipulate them, and be more just and fair and balanced, and or do love or truth, and they weren't willing to do that. So some people have freed themselves from some of those situations in their life. And even could see as time goes by, as they emotionally did this work to disentangle themselves, could even kind of see the truth of some things that they weren't seeing before. Because as some people keep moving forward, they did offer truth and love and to be just and fair. The other people weren't, so they moved on, and every day that they're moving forward in that way, the other people could be moving forward in some other way. And they could see that what they weren't seeing before. They're more consumed by either things or the world or people in their life that they're codependent on. For some people, it just wasn't their truth. Maybe they were in love with someone else. Maybe that relationship hadn't worked out. But they could have gotten in the relationship for the wrong reasons, weren't ready, something, right? The other people have done the work within themselves and invested the time, energy, and effort emotionally to free themselves from something they were emotionally entangled in. Some other people are just entering that phase of doing that. So we could meet people, but we're at different places, right? And for those of you who have gone through kind of emotionally detaching from some people and kind of seeing through the illusion of it, and you're already over here, some other people are just now realizing, oh, I can't move forward with some of the people I was moving forward with. I can't do that anymore. And they're just starting over here. And, that can take a long time if they even make it through. Sometimes people will get out of one thing, but then they'll kind of, because they feel overwhelmed, and instead of investing in themselves and loving themselves and getting themselves feeling more stable and balanced within themselves, they'll kind of go get in a relationship with someone else to kind of feel better. And then they might find out they kind of repeated the same pattern again. Because until we change within ourselves, we can meet other people that have whatever ways of being about them. But we were meant to learn lessons from that life experience. Where did I need to heal and grow and mature myself? How did I heal and grow and mature myself in that relationship? And don't let go of those things, because sometimes it's like people can move forward, say, age 25 to age 30 or age 35, and then something happens, and then it's like to try to go back and being like a 25-year-old. It's like, don't let go of the lessons that you've learned. Those lessons are really important. Take those lessons with you. Don't give up on your dreams. Just see the people in your life that you can't have that dream and get that justice with, but keep not repeating old patterns and keep moving forward, inspired with what you've learned, how you've healed, how you've grown, how you've matured. See where you need to keep healing, growing, and maturing. Because if you want the justice, if you go back and repeat an old pattern, you're going to be in a relationship with people who are in that energy, living life that way, repeating that pattern, and you've already been there and done that. So it's kind of like blazing a new trail and looking for other people who've kind of are on blazing that new trail too. And again, willing to get to know people. As you get to know people, if you realize some people are more emotionally manipulative, really don't want to do love, might want to just indulge or be in a relationship for these more worldly reasons of how it benefits them, and that's not why you want to be in one, keep moving on. As some people get to know you, they could see that, oh, I just thought maybe you'd be willing to get in a relationship. I didn't know that you actually love and believe in yourself. Now you can go, I'm going to go find someone who hasn't learned to love and believe in themselves. And maybe because they haven't learned to love and believe in themselves, or because they want someone to kind of indulge them in a relationship. And it's like, no, I've already been there and done that. And I don't want to do that anymore. So, what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy? They're taking the lessons they've learned. They're freeing themselves from people in their past who didn't offer love, who maybe were kind of more intimidating or superficial and shallow. And they are moving forward in their truth with the people in their life who are working together with them in a more high vibrational way, being loving and encouraging and supportive and just and fair. What's coming up for those people? They're closing out an old cycle with the Ten of Wands. And the King of Swords comes out after the Ten of Swords, and the King of Pentacles comes out after the Ten of Pentacles. So leaving behind some type of foundation or way of living life, viewing life, and people in your life that wanted you to keep operating from your more worldly view of life, because if you were willing to do that, there's people in our life that we can, pretty much all the people we pretty much knew in our life through age 30 to 50, because we were all kind of more motivated and inspired by our worldly nature then. Some of those people in our life were people who aligned with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and those people we'll keep moving forward with. But as people detach and be more motivated by their worldly nature to listen to their love and intuition to guide them, they're going to be looking to meet more people who are more, that they're, it's just like in this world of duality, we can have people that we love that align, that we kind of have things in common with them more from our more worldly view of life. And then we have people in our life that we can love that we have more in line with because of our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. So, as people get older, where when we were younger, when we went from 18, 21 to 25 and we were moving forward in life differently, we kind of distanced ourselves from some people who kept repeating certain patterns like, well, I don't want to keep doing that. Now I'm kind of focused on being a 21-year-old or a 25-year-old. Well, the same thing happens at a bigger spectrum, I think, as we get older, that we can go through detaching from a lot of people in our life because it was more of these worldly reasons, because that's where we were at in that phase of our life. And now it's to move forward, trying to find people who are kind of more detaching from that phase of life. What's coming up for high vibe people they don't see coming? This card. Why? Because of the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords can represent all three of the air sign energies: Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Yeah, and over here, in this part of the reading, we only have the King of Swords, which is kind of based on what our truth was at any point in time in our life and what we thought was just and fair. Well, when we were 18 and living life like an 18-year-old, was that just and fair? Yeah, it was, because that's where we were at. That's how we viewed life. That was the stage of life we were at. And when we kind of learned the lessons we were meant to learn there, then we detached from that. We kind of reconciled ourselves with the past, and I can't keep living like an 18-year-old. I need to be inspired to live more like a 21-year-old. And then we went to that next phase of life. And part of that is maybe in our inner child nature of the Page of Swords. Every stage of life that we go through is kind of just and fair because that's where we're at. But most people don't want to stay at a certain phase of life where they don't keep kind of growing and healing and maturing themselves all their life or for the rest of their life. It's the process of being a human being to keep learning lessons in life. And sadly, some people don't, but other people do. This was part of the journey of this bigger, in my Aquarius and Gemini nature, of having hope and faith and belief in my dreams. And where some people could be like, no, that requires me to get out of the illusion of the world or of myself or being more about me or these things I indulge in, and to see the truth that it's supposed to be about truth and love. And some people will never do that because they don't ever really want to do love. They want to live more from their mind than their heart, don't want to connect in with themselves maybe more and do more deep, meaningful relationships, would rather be in relationships for more of these worldly, practical reasons, and are just looking for other people who want to do that too. And some other people are like, I can't do that. And so I think as people are willing to like be good mother, father, coaches to themselves, to invest in their own inner child nature, I am not going to settle for the illusion, and I'm not going to stay in situations where I think people don't want me to be more balanced or just or fair or be inspired by my truth, might want me to make my life more about them or more about these things of the world, instead of being just and fair and loving and encouraging of each other to both like invest in your dreams. And so I think because you were willing to do that, what you don't see coming, well, for one, it's like giving birth to a new you. Just like, so with my nesting dolls over there, they kind of represent when I was 18, I was one way, but then I shed some of those ways of living life and viewing life, and I gave birth to a new me to be like a 21-year-old. You're giving birth to a new you because of love for yourself. And other people could see that you seem to be different. You've changed. You've freed yourself from some things that used to maybe be able to emotionally manipulate you. And some people could think that you're overwhelmed, which some of you might be, but you're staying focused on truth and love, and kind of in your worldly nature of your masculine nature of self, whether you're male or female, you are standing up for your more emotionally balanced, loving, and inner child nature. And that's something we have to learn to do, which maybe before we weren't doing. Maybe we thought other people would do that for us, and then we found out, no, they won't. I need to do that within myself, and that's getting balance within yourself. When you can be a loving, nurturing, just fair person, but are you standing up for yourself? And then when you do that within yourself, you are who you say you are. When you go take action in the world, which is what the masculine energies can talk about, you are who you say you are. Other people try to present themselves, male or female, as being these just fair people that people should be friends with, should date, should marry, should hire, should promote. But emotionally, they're not invested in love. It's more, for these more worldly reasons. You've given birth to a new you. And what some people don't know about you is that, and what you don't see coming from this process, is you'll be able to detach from harnessing this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way. And some people who could see you moving forward, they don't know how you did it. Well, one thing they don't realize what you did is you invested in taking that cup of love. Just like other people going through the world, taking that cup of love, that's something that isn't public and visible. It's not like you go to a certain spot and place in the world, and like somebody goes there and you have to get zapped by lightning, and everybody can watch people get zapped by lightning. This is work you did within yourself. And that's what some people don't get and don't understand. So what is it? The Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. So for one, and Aries also is fire sign energy like Sagittarius. At one time, you were really fired up about living your life a certain way or being in certain friendships or relationships or jobs, just like when you're 18 and 21 and 25. You thought your dreams were going to come into reality there, but you realized it was just part of the journey. And that's also high vibe Sagittarius. High vibe Sagittarius is about going on a journey, to go look at life as an adventure. There are all these lessons to learn and all these different people I come in contact with. It helps me get more clear about what my truth is, helps me understand more about how other people think in the world and what their truth is. And in a world of duality, there are some people who definitely are more about themselves. Shadowy Scorpio can be narcissistic. Some people are very immature. Some people are very more materialistic and ego driven and self driven. And they think it's just and fair. It is how they view life, and they could think everybody views life that way. They can't even comprehend and wrap their brain around that some people really invest in loving themselves, because some people always have a lack mentality and they never learn to love themselves. It's always to look outside of themselves to something to make them feel better. Drugs, alcohol, or being in a relationship, right? People have different vices. Or some people are sure, if I have more status, more image, more money, then I'll be happy. And that's just how they view life. Other people did learn to invest in themselves and work through their own fears, insecurities, and lack mentality, made peace with the past so that the past didn't keep manipulating them, accepted the truth of the situation. I've dealt with people who are bossy, controlling, immature. Okay. I have been immature. Okay. The only person I can change is me. I am going to change me, and I can't change other people. And I just accept everybody else had this free will to do that or not do it. Some people in my life were very loving and nurturing and just and fair, and some other people weren't. I accept the truth of that. I can only take accountability for me and how I acted. And I'm going to offer love and compassion and forgiveness to me. And I'm going to offer it to other people in my life so I can let them be free to live their life whatever way they want. And I'm going to go live my life the way I want. But I am inspired to not keep repeating certain patterns and to free myself from things that manipulate me. Everybody else has the free will to do that or not. I choose to do that. No more illusions. I'm going to live my authentic truth and have that hopeful, believing spirit. And I realize that with some people, a dream won't come into reality with them. And from the 10 of Wands to the 3 of Wands, the difference is the 7 of Wands, which is Leo energy, maybe of the ego. There are some people who, the truth is, they could either be defensive or just still more caught up in things of the world, in their Leo egoic nature. And the other people have worked through that, now maybe more harnessing a more high vibrational Leo energy within themselves. And that is being loving and encouraging and supportive to yourself, to free yourself from things that manipulate you, offer it to other people, speak your truth in love. And who wants to go on this adventure with me? And some people won't. And some people will. It's like my dream can only come into reality with people who are inspired by the same philosophy of life, who, if I'm balanced and working at maintaining balance within myself in truth and love, and I don't want to be in a more codependent relationship where someone's looking for me to indulge poor behavior in them or in me, or settle for being in a relationship more for the status or the image or the illusion of it. No, that's not my idea of the dream life, and I'm not willing to give up my dreams for that. I'm willing to let go of people who, this isn't their truth, this isn't their idea of the dream life. That's okay. Different strokes for different folks. Hey, you go do you. I'm going to go do me. And I think as you do that, it helps you detach and be able to emotionally detach from an old dream. And that's why, because you work through it. You learn the lesson you're meant to learn from it. Other people keep repeating an old pattern, and they'll keep repeating it until they're willing to see the truth of what it is that kind of drives them, motivates them, and manipulates them, that kind of stops them from being more balanced within themselves. I don't know, really getting the justice they deserve. And again, some people can invest in other people where it's like the other people are supposed to change. No, 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 I'm going to keep putting in this work and effort. I'm sure they'll change one day. Why keep putting in work? Why try to change anybody? How about accept the truth? People are where they're at, and I need to go find other people who have already, who I don't need to change. I don't need them to grow up. I don't need them to temper their ego. I don't need them to quit being more bossy and controlling. Who are the people who've been inspired within themselves not to repeat those patterns, at that stage of life, and have been inspired by truth and justice? Why don't I go get in a relationship with people like that? And as some of you are moving forward in that energy, you will meet people who are more aligned with your truth. And some of those people, the Page of Swords, can be friendly gestures, but it kind of also reminds me of somebody kind of standing up and defending other people because they know those people are who they say they are. And I think you'll have people in your life that are standing up and defending you, and people who you are standing up and defending, because you both know, or the group, that you're not more just about yourself. That you're someone who's loving and nurturing in relationship with other people, that you both or all of you don't repeat certain old past patterns that aren't conducive to a just and fair relationship, that you keep offering love and encouragement to each other to keep moving forward. And it is a just and fair and loving and encouraging of each other's like inner child nature, and respecting each other so that they can be vulnerable and authentic with you. And other people do that with you. Because shadowy Three of Wands is people being more about themselves. And it's like, I don't want to be in a relationship with people who are just more about them. And they think it's just and fair to be more about them. And everybody should make it more about them. What's coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius energy that they might not see coming? High vibe people are realizing that some dreams won't be coming into reality. They accept the truth of it. They get out of their ego about it. And they are able to move on and get justice. Some other people could keep waiting, like, no, 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 my dream can only come into reality if this person comes and gets in a relationship with me. But that person already isn't in a relationship with them. And they're like, oh no, I'm sure I'll just wait. I'm sure over time something will happen, then they'll come towards me. Or I'm sure, whatever. Why does it have to be that person? And as long as they keep thinking, not listening to their intuition, and it could be more out of codependency, or, or just thinking if it would benefit them in a worldly way, status, ego, image. Or it could be because they really remind them of someone who they have an unresolved issue from. Because I think we'll be drawn and attracted to people who remind us kind of subconsciously of people in our past who we have unresolved pain and heartbreak with. Well, sometimes we can't be in a relationship with people who could remind us of people like that. And it's like a way for us to work through that wounding. But people could work through it on their own, but some people won't. Anyway, what's coming up for them they don't see coming? The Four of Swords. Why? Because of the Emperor. So again, some people can be drawn and attracted to people either because they're overwhelmed about moving forward in life, or if they're more materialistic It'd be like, oh my God, that would be the dream person to be in a relationship with. I am sure eventually things won't work out for them, maybe, and they'll come back and they'll get in a relationship with me. Or they don't even realize where they're so drawn and attracted to someone. And partly it could be because of some unresolved issues. For some of those people, though, in the Four of Swords in reverse, those some of the people that they would want to have be in relationship with them aren't going to heal a relationship with them. And some of these people are quite shadowy. You know, the Emperor can be where people, and the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles, some people could think I have justice in the world, again, male or female, for some reason in the world because of what they look like or status or clout or money. They feel like, of course, people should want to be in a relationship with them. They have this status, image, power, attractiveness, right? And they kind of are caught up in the illusion of themselves. What they don't understand is some of the people that they would like to have be in a relationship with them, those people probably already were in a relationship with them and got to know them and probably did put a lot of work and effort to try to move the relationship forward. But those people realize that these people don't invest in love. And they're not more independent. High vibe energy is about being more independent of the self to be more authentically yourself. And that's also high vibe Leo energy. But because some people think, oh no, it's more because I look like this, or because I have this status or image or money or whatever, or because I know they love me, all those things manipulate these people. And because they could have love for other people in their life, friends or family, or love of the world, or love of their defensive nature, their materialistic, worldly nature, all those things manipulate them. And they can't understand why other people, of course, they would want these things. These are what's important. And so it's like just waiting for other people for like a relationship not to work out for them. But what they don't get is some of those people love themselves and they've already been in a relationship with these people and they know it is more about them or indulging them or they're immature or they're intimidating or controlling, and those people are no longer caught up in the illusion of them. And that's also with this card not showing itself. There can be other people still thinking some of you still view them as someone you want a dream to come into reality with. It's like, not as long as you're in that energy. And as I keep moving forward, eventually I kind of see through the illusion of it. You have so much growing and maturing to do that I don't think you'll ever get on the same page as me. Because you don't work through those things just like that. It can take years and decades. So for, well, some of these people, and when cards are in reverse and Pisces energy, can be where people are really caught up in the illusion of themselves. They keep thinking, oh no, because I'm the boss and I'm like the most important person, people will want to heal a relationship with me. And eventually they might kind of see through the illusion that other people have closed out a cycle with them to go get the justice they deserve. And they're like, what? They don't want to be in a relationship with me? They're no longer in illusion about me? They're balanced and have learned to love themselves and give. It's kind of like the devil, right? The devil tries to tempt us with things of the world. And the devil's like, what? They took that damn cup of love? They did this work within themselves? When did they do that? I did not see them doing that. When did they emotionally detach from being caught up in the illusion of the world and indulging their more immature, lustful, greedy nature to feel better? When the hell did they get balance and get justice? Well, the other people were doing whatever they were doing. The other people were doing this work within themselves, and they come out brand new. Like, maybe where people like don't even, oh, and that's kind of funny. what we think is just and fair and the new us. So the child can be like, when you can get in relationships, you can give birth to a child. But when you even just come in contact with different people, energetically, you create something new that didn't exist before. By high vibe people doing this work within themselves, they gave birth to a new them because they aligned with a different truth. They're more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And that's why some people aren't in their life anymore, and why some of those people didn't want to be in their life, and why some people aren't in your life right now and don't want to be in a relationship with you, because your truth is different than their truth. And I think the more worldly, shadowy people, they look to these other things to be the answer to the Four of Swords in Libra energy, like to heal them. But the things that they're looking to aren't the answer. Truth and love is the answer. And you, high vibe people, have learned to love themselves. And other people are still looking outside of themselves for something to be the answer. And it's going to keep eluding them because they are looking to the wrong thing to be the answer. But while they're doing that, they could have, again, other people in their life who would like to be in a relationship with them. But eventually those people aren't going to keep trying to heal a relationship with them. And they're going to move on. And they're like, what? But you used to indulge me. You were overwhelmed at the thought of standing up for yourself and being independent of me. And they're like, well, I did the work within myself. I see my dreams never going to come into reality here because our truth is different. So I wish you peace. You keep doing you, and I'm going to keep doing me. And I see our truth is different, and what we think is just and fair is different. So I'm going to go find some of the people who aren't more about themselves and who have been illuminated to the truth, no longer in illusion, who want to be in a more just and fair and authentic and loving relationship. And the more worldly, shadowy people will feel overwhelmed, and they'll go try to repeat this pattern with someone else. Well, I'll just go find someone else who might feel left out in the cold, who hasn't maybe learned to love themselves, and I'll try to stop them from getting balanced within themselves because I'm out of balance and tipped out of balance, and I want them to stay out of balance and tipped out of balance, and then we can all be codependent on each other or make our life about these things we indulge in, or the money or the status or the image, and looking like we have justice in the world. But let's not really do a deep, meaningful relationship. And I might have a little problem being just and fair. But other than that, this will be great. There you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.